The Federal Republic of Nigeria is a country in West Africa. The name Nigeria comes from the Niger River running through the country. Nigeria can be described as a multinational state inhabited by more than 250 ethnic groups speaking 500 distinct languages, all identifying with a wide variety of cultures. It is the most populous country in Africa and the world's 6th most populous country. It comprises 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, where the capital Abuja is located. The largest city in Nigeria is Lagos, one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world and the second largest in Africa. Nigeria is a religiously diverse society, with Islam and Christianity being the most widely professed religions. Nigerians are nearly equally divided into Muslims and Christians, with a tiny minority of adherents of traditional African religions and other religions. The Church of Pentecost has existed in Nigeria for so many years, with a number of missionaries leading the spread of the church in the populous nation.
In terms of the first missionary to Nigeria, Apostle Moses Oladejo, he came in 1982 to 1995. Then the second missionary is our dear Apostle Ringwell Atu Addison. He came after him. Then later Apostle James Smith Jima also came in 2000 to 2005. Apostle Patrick Kingsley Eni also came in later. Then after Apostle Kingsley Eni, then we have the first call in Nigeria minister in the person of Apostle Fini Obiri Yebua, who came in as a national head by then. 2017, by the grace of God, we became the head with my dear wife, Joanna Ekua Ajayi Bade. We have 6 areas in Nigeria today by the grace of God, namely Jos, Oshogbo, Abuja, Asaba, Ibadan, Lagos West and Lagos East. Then we have 160 assemblies. We have 160 assemblies. The entire population of the church as at now, here is 10,300 total membership.
The Church of Pentecost Nigeria is progressing steadily in membership, in areas created, and number of assemblies. Visiting the church in Nigeria, I decided to join in some Sunday services of some areas to experience a typical Sunday service in a Church of Pentecost, Nigeria. This is the Port Harcourt area.
Season and out of season. Therefore, that make it possible. I strongly believe that make it possible for us. If I take out all the things that God will do for my life, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 for your 80-20. I know go figure out. I know go figure out.
Lagos East area. Lagos West area. Oshogbo area. Ibadan area.
Oh,
Visiting these churches, one thing was clear, that the Pentecost brand was being upheld. Ghanaians still make up a big part of the church in Nigeria. With Ghanaians still making up a big part of the Nigerian church, how is the agenda to continue to build indigenous churches progressing in Nigeria?
The strategies we are putting in place is that we'll open indigenous assemblies. Yeah, and we have started that like Ekitikupa like this. Last year, we went to Ekitikupa. It's fully indigenous assembly. So for them, we thinking about the past experience, so we quickly make our effort to buy landed property for them. And this year, God willing, they will start their building. So that is some of the strategies that we put in place, that will be open indigenous assemblies, then encourage these our brethren Nigerians to bring them into the leadership.
Owulabi Church is an example of a growing indigenous church in Nigeria. It falls within the Ibadan area under the leadership of Apostle Lawrence Odronyako.
We started, gathering the leaders that we have to train them, so that, because if you have good leaders, then you can progress. In fact, the first day that national head took me to this place. I said, oh yes, this is a mission, indeed a mission area. And when we came, I was so glad seeing the members, the zeal that they were coming from their, villages to have a service here. I said, wow, fantastic. So heart really is here, and therefore we want to help by training and maybe seeking funds for them to get a place to worship, so that they will have at peace. You see this cathedral, this tree is a cathedral. It's their cathedral. That's where they have service. And another two, we've been, connecting individuals to help. So one deaconess in Lagos, Apostle, a national head contacted, and we came with her to come and have a look at this place. And they are, herself and the husband, they are also ready to support. So we are trying to sort from individuals to support. So if anyone who will see this documentary and come to our aid, we'll be very, 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 very glad. We're very, very glad, and we need a support. And because the villages are many, if we get school here, they will be educated, their children, and it will help them, so that we will have quality of people from this community. And it's very, very, very important. So the school is a vision for the church in Nigeria to have a school here for them.
The church in Owulabi has lots of challenges. Major among them is a place of worship and access to potable water.
We have decided that as at now, because we don't have money, we will erect pillars. We will erect pillars from the end which will form the part of the school. We will form the part of it and roof it. At least from there, they can start worshiping before in future we'll tackle the main auditorium. So that is our plan for this particular place.
The Church of Pentecost Nigeria, despite the many challenges, is making appreciable gains in infrastructure, church-government partnership and membership.
I'm thinking I'm going to partner with TKP, because the leader is called Pastor Olushola Adebayo. He's in Ilorin. Went there, and with what we have seen here, as we are planning in future, that a minister may come and stay here, so that from here, you can reach others. Yeah, the big TKP, they are doing marvelous. They have Fulani church around. They have dominantly Fulani. So with them, I can see that here has a brighter future. So we also agree with them that they need school. That's why the first auditorium they will use for the church is part of the school. So it's part of the school. So that there's bright future.
The relationship has been enormously a great one. And we want to say that the Nigerian police, more especially the chaplaincy department, has been tremendously blessed by the partnership with the Church of Pentecost. Our coming together to partner with the Church of Pentecost have been a huge blessing to the chaplaincy, and which have a reflection on the police generally. In the recent time, I think the Church of the Pentecost have been able to do the printing of the police Bible. And today in our church or in our chapel, the generator we are using presently was bought by the Church of Pentecost. So it has been a very huge blessing to us. We are looking for a better relationship with what we have presently now. We pray that the Almighty God will develop it to a higher level, where I believe that the Church of Pentecost will come in to the chaplaincy and, if need be, begin to do more of what they have been doing.
The rebranding and repositioning of the church using the PIWC concept is alive in the Church of Pentecost, Nigeria. But there is a big problem. A PIWC, once active, no more has a place of worship.
Where we are standing is exactly where we used to have our church building. You could see the dimensions here. It goes that way up to that far, where the palm trees up to. So we had our church service here, our church building here. This plot was bought somewhere the year 2000, from the family, the chief, what we call a ballet, and then our foundation stone was laid by Apostle Jima in 2005, and then the building was dedicated in 2012 by Apostle Eni. Since then, we've been having fellowship here with no problem. We've been paying our commitment as is required, and we had the papers from them for the chiefs. So somewhere along last July, we didn't have any notice. We didn't know. All that we saw around early August 2022 was that there was a mark on our wall. And when we tried to inquire, we were told that apparently the land had been earmarked for demolition. So we did further investigation, and we noticed that most of the buildings here, so this plot, we share the boundary with another building, which also before this tall building. And then there were other buildings also here. And besides here, so we have other buildings. So what we got to know was that the owner or the chief, we call them Bale here, who owns the land, who sold the land. Incidentally, the one who sold to us was the late chief, and his son inherited him. So the son has then resold the land to another party. So initially we thought that it's the government actually behind it. But what our investigation has established is that actually the chief sold it to an individual developer who wants to use the area for some commercial activity. Yeah, so as at now, we don't have a place of worship because the land has been demolished, it's been sold. The matter has now been sent to court. So all the people involved, we've come together and I've appointed one of the leading lawyers to sort of challenge the issue in court. And hopefully we don't know when the outcome. The legal system here too is quite difficult, similar to what pertains in Ghana. So what we do is that we now have cluster service online. So we have grouped the church members into various groups, worshiping from homes. So a group meets in my house, another elder's house, and a deaconess house, and then we connect via Zoom, and then we have our service. So that is the state of affairs of PIWC Lagos now.
We made frantic effort to search for land. Definitely we must have a place of worship. In our search, we were able to get about 3 different landed properties. One in Ikota, which, now to get a virgin land in Lagos is not easy. If you want to get a landed property, you get a land which somebody has bought it in the past and he also want to sell it out, which made, price of a landed property is very, very high in Lagos. So the one we got at Ikota, the owner was demanding for 150 million for 2 plots. Another one was 90 million. So the 2 landed property we have found now, this is the price that the owners are demanding for it.
Ministers and officers are playing their part in advancing God's kingdom and ensuring the vision to build a strong Church of Pentecost Nigeria is realized.
We thank God for what He's doing with us in Nigeria. And we thank God for the executive. This place of the church is predominantly Ghanaians from the gas side, but we have a lot of Nigerians among us who are also deeply rooted in the church. All the actions and everything about them shows that they love the church. And every Sunday they are part of the service that we do here. And precisely we do the service in English and then translated to the Ghanaian language. And this is the project that we are undertaking, as you can see. And we thank God for how far, the grace that God has bestowed upon us to be able to reach this far. And then the help that has come from the national and then from the international too. We are very grateful about it. And then when you look at this side of the land, you will see that we still have a lot to do. And apart from building the church, we still have the mind of putting a mission house on this land.
This is the Oshogbo Area Mission House project. By the grace of God and by leadership of the national head, we received the takeoff grant from the missions office. I want to appreciate the international executive, the international missions director, and the whole missions board for the takeoff grant. And we decided that we want to use it to put up a mission house so that by the time our first rent expires in July 2023, we'll be moving into the house. So far, we have reached the stage where they've started the woodworks for the roofing. And we are hoping that by July, we'll be able to make it habitable so that we can move in and avoid paying another rent for the next year.
We thank God for the level the church has reached. It has come a long way from tin and cane, and then now the church is going better and better. We appreciate God for what He's doing in His church. Right now, in the last 3 or 4 years, the tithe has been increasing, but tremendously. But I think we can do better, especially in the area of teaching members more about tithe. We teach them all the time about tithe, but now if our membership also increase, we know that will also have impact on the finance. So far, the church has been able to acquire properties, landed properties, building properties. Before, most of our places of worship are on rent. We still have some of them on rent, but now, by God's grace, many local building projects, mission houses have been built, and we thank God for all that.
The story of the Church of Pentecost Nigeria cannot be told without stressing the challenges that exist.
So far, we have about 4 mission houses, which is our own. But the 3 mission houses that we are renting are very expensive. For instance, in Ifako district, where I am doing this interview, the district pastor is paying about 800,000 naira, which is roughly, let's say, about 4,000 Ghana or something like that. And with this, it is a very big challenge for us to come by. By God's grace, we are praying that God should give us a land so that we can able to put up a building that is the mission house for the chapel in Ifako district. And another area we want also to stress is about how to move into church planting. In everywhere we go, we need to rent place of worship. We need to buy chairs. And these are some places that the locals are not strong enough to be able to get some fund to start assembly opening. All still rely on the area and the national to give some funds so that assemblies are opening. So these are some of the challenges. If there are funds, we believe that there are so many places that we can go and plant churches.
A challenge we are facing recently is that landed properties are very costly, and it is not easy for the church to, afford it. In terms of evangelism, we are working hardly to see to it that we break new grounds. We are working hardly to see to it that we break new grounds. But all what we are saying is that in terms of, founding an assembly, buying landed property to open an assembly or build a place of worship is very, very, very costly. These are some of the challenges we are facing.
Is there a future for the church in Nigeria then?
By the grace of God, first of all, our youth are our future. Our youth are our future. So what we really try to do is that we bring the young ministers into the leadership so that they can match with the young ones who are behind. So our potential for the growth of the church are the young ministers and the youth leadership. We are training the youth also. And by the grace of God, with the ministers within now and the 2 missionaries that God has endowed us with, so far as from Ghana is concerned, I think with this, we have a bright future when we carry the youth and the children along.
For our projection, spiritually, physically, financially, in the next 5 years, we are hopeful that if not, throughout the nation, I can guarantee a kind of 80% coverage of the nation.
There is hope for the church in Nigeria. We can do more to win a lot of Nigerians. Nigeria is part of the Possessing the Nations agenda. We can do more to support the nation. Reach out to the Church of Pentecost Nigeria through the International Missions Office of the Church.
I want to seize this opportunity to thank our dear chairman, Apostle Eric Kobna Yamiche, and our dear IMD, in the person of Apostle Emmanuel Ajma Bequin. We will not also forget the past immediate IMD, Apostle Emmanuel JC Ado, and the General Secretary and all the International Executive. They've really given us a lot of support.
Kwabna Mante reporting.
Manima.